welcome to all of you. In this lecture, we'll start the computer organization gate subject. Right? This computer organization subject is included in the syllabus in GATE 2021. Okay. Previously, it is not there for ECE, but this syllabus is actually there in the CSC syllabus, right? Now, the microprocessor is removed from the EC syllabus and they have included this computer organization subject. In this subject, three topics are there. First one is machine instructions and addressing modes. Second one is ALU data path and control unit. And third one is instruction pipelining. So computer organization subject, gate subject is very easy. Okay, just a simple concept, and we'll solve previous 10 to 15 years gate problems. So in this video lecture, we'll discuss about machine instructions and addressing modes. So before doing the previous gate problems on this topic, let us discuss some few basic concepts on this machine instructions and addressing modes, because the concept is very important before attempting the solving the previous gate problems, practice problems, right? So let us in this video lecture, let us discuss the concept of machine instructions and addressing modes. In the next video lecture, we are going to solve the previous gate problems on the same topic. So machine instructions and addressing modes, the concept. Now, what are the computer instructions? Computer instructions are a set of machine language instructions that a particular processor understands and executes. A computer performs tasks on the basis of the instruction given. What is instruction code? Okay, the group of bits used to instruct the CPU to perform a specific operation. Okay. Instructions are encoded as binary instruction codes. Each instruction code contains an operation code called as opcode, which designates the overall purpose of the instruction. For example, add is the opcode. This is assembly language, but this is converted to machine language. It's a group of bits, encoded bits, right? That is operation code. The number of bits allocated for the opcode, determine how many different instructions the architecture supports. Okay. For example, opcode bits are 4 bits. Then how many operations, how many instructions that CPU can perform? It depends upon 2 power 4, that is 16 instructions. Suppose the CPU has 5 opcode bits, then the CPU can able to execute a different 2 power 5, that is 32 instructions, like that. That means the number of bits allocated for the opcode determine how many different instructions the CPU supports. Now, what is instruction set? The collection of all these instructions, nothing but instruction set. Any CPU comes along with the instruction set, telling that the CPU can able to execute these many instructions. Now, what is instruction cycle? Instruction cycle is nothing but the time takes to execute one instruction by the CPU is called instruction cycle. Basically, instruction cycle consists of some operation like fetching, decoding, reading the FAQ address, execution of the instruction, and writing the results back to the memory. This is one cycle. To execute one instruction, the time takes is called instruction cycle. Okay, all the instructions and data will be stored in the memory, right? So a CPU will first fetch the instruction from the memory. That is the first sub operation. And once fetched the instruction and it has to decode the instruction, That means converting into signals such that the operation can able to perform. And if there is an indirect address, then reading the effective address from memory in case of instruction having an indirect address, because not only fetching the instruction, but it has to read the data also. Once the instruction and the operands are fetched, then execute the instruction is the next sub operation, and after execution, writing the results back to the memory. So this together is nothing but instruction cycle. Every instruction has to go through these 5 steps. Now, what is instruction format? The instruction consists of bits, and these bits are grouped up to make fields. Some fields are first opcode, which tells about the operation to be performed. For example, add, subtract, okay, load, store, like that. And address field, designating a memory address or a processor register, because the operands are available in the memory, maybe in the registers. So for registers also there is address, and memory also address. So next, address field. And mode field, which operating mode, okay, whether it is direct address mode, whether register indirect address mode, or direct address mode, or immediate addressing mode, like that mode field is there, the specifying the way the operand or effective address is determined. So these are the fields available in the instruction format. Now basically CPU can be constructed using 3 types. Okay, some CPUs are architecture is they will follow a single accumulator, and some CPUs follow general register organization, and some computers will rely on stack memory to do the operations. That means in single accumulator, okay, always the result is goes directly to the accumulator. Accumulator by default, no need to mention there. Accumulator has to be saved to memory quite often. So this is a single accumulator type CPU organization. And coming to general register organization, some CPUs, right, a number of registers are there which holds the operands, thus reduce memory traffic. Because if more registers are there, directly CPU no need to go to memory always, right? Everything once bring the data to the registers, and in the registers only operation will be done. No need to go all the time to the memory, which reduces memory traffic. That is called register bookkeeping, right? Some CPUs will follow stack memory operations. Operands and result are always in the stack. Okay, these are the 3 basic types of CPU organization: single accumulator, general register, and stack. Now let us see the important thing, right? Instruction formats. Basically there are 5 types of instruction formats are there. Some CPUs supports 3 address instructions format. Some CPUs supports 2 address instruction format. Some CPUs supports 1 address instruction format, and some CPU supports 0 address instructions, and some RISC instructions. RISC processor will support RISC instructions. Okay, if you observe 3 address instructions, for example, add R1 comma R2 comma R3. What is the meaning of this? R2 plus R3, the result is stored in R1. See here, R2 plus R3, the result is stored in R3. There are 3 addresses. Okay, there is address for R1, address for R2, address for R3. That's why these are called 3 address instruction. The same instruction, some CPUs follow 2 address instructions, where this opcode is there, and then R1 comma R2. What is the meaning of this? R1 plus R2, the result is stored in R1. See here, R1 plus R2, the result is stored in R1. So some CPUs will follow one address instructions where, for example, add m. What is the meaning of this? Okay, by default there is a accumulator, no need to mention here, accumulator plus the given memory location, one data is available in the memory. So that is m of AR. AR is the address register. In that address register, address is there. In that address, the data is available in the memory. So that data plus accumulated data that is added, and the result is stored in accumulator. So this is, observe this instruction, one address instruction, only one address is available. And some CPUs supports zero address instructions. Just add, it understands, right? And what operands it adds? It goes to stack memory. TOS, top of stack, one data is there. Top of stack -1, one data is there. The two data brings and adds in the arithmetic logic unit, and then store back into the top of stack in the stack memory only. So no need to mention the operands here. Directly to do whatever the top two elements, it will take, add it, and then store back into the top of stack. Finally, some RISC processor will support RISC instructions where lots of registers are there. The memory is restricted to load and store operations. Load and store operation, because since a lot of registers are there, and all the operations will be done in the registers very fastly. Okay, the memory is restricted to load and store. What is load operation? Loading the data from memory to registers. What is meaning of store operation? Storing the value from the register into the memory. Now if you see here, the instruction, it consists of opcode and then operands or addresses. Let us see the same example, add R1, R2, R3, where R2 plus R3 is moved to added, and then result is stored in R1. It is a 3 address instruction. How the instruction is look like? Yeah, 8 bits are taken to opcode for this add. This is opcode 8 bits, and then for R2 there is the operand 1 address, and R3 there is operand 2 address, 24 bit address, and to store the result there is once again result address. Okay, 24 bits is the address. In that address the data is available, right? So this is the 3 address instruction. In the same way, if you see add R1, R2, which is a 2 address instruction, it takes opcode 8 bits and the operand 1 and result. Basically operand 2 is here, both will be added, and the result is stored back in R1 only. This is R1, R2. If you see this one address instruction, for example, add M, see this is opcode and only one address. Okay, whatever this address. And if you see 0 address instructions, in the instruction only opcode is available. That's all. When you say add, what it adds on the top of stack memory, 2 elements it will take, it will add, and then result is stored back to top of stack. And in the RISC instructions, lots of registers are there. Memory is restricted to load and store operations. Now let us take one example and write a program as a practice. See here, I want to write a program a plus b into c plus d. A is the memory location where data is available, b is one more memory location where the data is available in the memory, and c is some other location, d is some other location. Whatever the data, I want to add here and multiply and get the result. So some CPUs follow 3 address instruction. In that, how the instructions look like? This is add R1, A, B. That means memory of A location and memory of B location both will be added, and then result is stored in R1. This is the 3 address instruction. In the same way, add R2, CD. That means C location data, D location data added, and the result is stored in R2. This is the operation. That means here this is R1 is available, and here the result of C plus D R2 is available. Both will be multiplied and the result is stored in X location. See here X comma R1 comma R2. What is the meaning of this? The result A plus B into the result C plus D, both will be multiplied and the result is stored back to X location. That is R1 into R2 partial results, and the result is stored back into memory in the X location. The same program, if you take two address instructions, the CPU, how we have to write a program? Move R1 comma A. That means A location data first take into R1, and B location data add with the R1. That means A plus B we are doing. That means A plus B is memory of B location. Both will be added and the result is stored back to R1 only. Here the result of A plus B is available in R1 up to this. Okay. And in the same way C plus D, right? Bring the value from C location to R2 and add R2 plus D location. From here these two, where the C plus D is available in R2. This is available in R2. And now mul R1 comma R2. So what is the meaning of this? R1 into R2, that means this one and this one multiplied and the result is stored in R1 only. This is the operation. And finally that means this is multiplied and result is available in R1. Now we need to store this result in X location. Okay, that means move X comma R1. R1 whatever the result, that is moved to X location. This is the operation. So if you observe this, all this, okay, two address only, two address. If you observe this one, all instructions are three address instructions, right? If you compare these two, it will take only less number of instructions, only 3, but here 6 instructions taken. Okay, even though the instructions are simple, but it takes a long program. Okay, that's the same expression if you take one address instruction. Okay, load A, that means memory of A location, the data is moved to accumulator no need. This CPU is accumulator based organization. So and add B, that means accumulator plus memory of B, the result is stored back in accumulator. These are one address instruction only. By default with it will do operations with accumulator. Now in accumulator the data is available, store T, that means accumulator to the memory T location, temporary location. So here up to this A plus B is available in T location, M of T location, M of T location. Now next these two, load C, that means from the C location to accumulator, and accumulator plus D location, and the result is stored back in accumulator. This available in accumulator AC, let us say. Now mul T, what is the meaning of this? Accumulator into T location. These two will be multiplied and the result is stored back to store X. That means here the result is available in accumulator. This accumulator contents move to X location like this. So if you observe this, total how many? 7 instructions taken. Still long program. In the same way, if you take the same expression using 0 address, okay, first push A and push B, these two memory location go to top of stack and then add. It is 0 address or nothing should be there, just add. What it will do? It goes to top of stack, A plus B will be done and the result is stored back to TOS only. A plus B is available in the top of stack. Now next two instructions, push C, push D, both will be pushed into the stack and add. That means C plus D is added and result is stored in top of stack only. So now in the top two elements are A plus B and C plus D. Just use mul. So it will do multiply operation. That means A plus B into C plus B will be done. The result is stored back in TOS only. Then pop X. That means from the top of stack to store in memory location X. So if you observe this program, how many instructions are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Still one instruction increased. These are the basic types of instruction formats. If you see lastly, the RISC instruction, how it's look like. The same expression if you take, use RISC processor, where load and store instructions are used for the memory access, and lot of registers are there in the RISC computers, right? So A, B, C, D, all the locations data bring to R1, R2, R3, R4 load using load instruction, and add R1 comma R1 comma R2. That means R1 plus R2 is stored in R1. That means this one is available in R1 now. Now next add R3 comma R3 comma R4. That means R3 plus R4, because that is C plus D. That is moved to R3. Now that means this is available in R3. Now R1, R3 is partial results are available. Mul R1 comma R1 comma R3. That means R1 into R3. The result is stored in R1. Final, it is available in R1. Now from R1 the total result is available. So store X comma R1. That means R1 to X location. This is the memory of X. In the memory it is stored. This is load and store architecture, which is a RISC processor, reduced instruction set computer. Now let us see RISC and CISC characteristics. If you see RISC, RISC, reduced instruction set computer, is very fast compared to CISC, and it has simple addressing modes. All instructions fitting a single word. Okay, that means if one instruction takes 2 bytes, for example, and all types of instruction will take 2 bytes only, single word may be 16 bit, right? So if one instruction takes 16 bits, every instruction also will take 16 bits only. Okay, but whereas in CISC it's not like that. One instruction may be 1 byte, the other instruction may be 2 bytes, the other instruction may be 3 bytes, some instruction may be 3 to 4 bytes, like that. But here in the RISC, all the instructions are same bytes only, single word. There are fewer instructions only in the instruction set. As a consequence, simple addressing modes, because of less number of instructions, addressing modes are so simple. And all the arithmetic and logical operations that can be performed only on operands in processor registers. So all the operation will be done, because a lot of registers are there in the RISC processor. So all the operation will be done are in the registers very fastly. No need to go to memory always. If you want to go to memory, then use a load and store architecture that does not allow direct transfers from one memory location to another. So directly one memory to another location not possible. First bring to registers and then transfer. Because of the simple instructions, there is a fast execution by the processing unit. Using techniques such as pipelining concept implementation is very easy, because simple addressing modes, simple instructions, okay, fewer instructions, so that pipelining concept which speeds up the processing is very easy. But the disadvantage, and the larger in size programs will be larger because of simple instructions, so the program takes long. This is all about RISC characteristics. So if you see CISC characteristics, the opposite is that one: more complex addressing modes, more complex instructions, where an instruction may span multiple words, right? Some instruction will take 2 bytes, some instruction will take 3 bytes, some more instruction may be 4 bytes, like that. Multiple words, many instructions that implement complex tasks. Okay, and arithmetic logical operations that can be performed on memory operands as well as the registers. Okay, directly the operation, suppose add one register plus memory location directly, that is possible in this sys characteristic. Transfers from one memory location to another by single move instruction, we can directly move. Previously in the RISC, what is the principle? First bring the one data from memory to register and then register to memory. Directly moving is not possible. Single move instruction to transfer from one memory location to another. See here, because of more complexity in instructions, okay, each instruction will do complex tasks, so programs tend to be smaller in size. That is advantage. So these are all about CISC characteristics. Yeah. Now types of instructions. Basically, CPU requires data transfer instructions, which can transfer from one location to another, or register to memory, or memory to register, like that, data transfer instructions. And arithmetic logical instruction like add, subtract, multiply, division, and logical instructions like that, for example, shift instruction, shift left, shift right, rotate left, rotate right. Okay, and logical AND operation, XOR operation, OR operation, AND operation, like that. Okay, and program sequencing, jump instruction like a call, calling the subprogram, call instruction, return instruction, like that. This is the program sequencing. Branch control operations, where the execution will transfer from one location to another. And finally, a CPU requires IO transfer instruction to transfer the data to IO devices, okay, like keyboard, printer, like that. And it can able to read the data from IO devices. For that, IO transfer instructions are required. These are the basic types of instructions. So we are discussing the topic, the machine instructions addressing modes. Now let us see addressing modes. Okay, for example, if you see this instruction, okay, add R4 comma R6 comma hash 200. That means, what is the meaning of this? R6 plus this 200 data will be added and the result is stored back to R4. Now we, if you observe here, it is adding 2 bytes or 2 words, whatever it may be, 2 data it is adding. One is available in R6, another is immediately available in the instruction. That's why it is called immediate addressing mode. The way in which the data is specified in the instruction is called addressing mode, data addressing mode. Let us see this instruction, add R4 comma R6 comma R1. What is the meaning of this? R6 plus R1, the result is stored back to R4. Now where is the data is available? In the registers, right? So that's why it is called register addressing mode. Now let us see this instruction, load R2 comma 1000, for example. That means it is loading something from memory. Which location? 1000 is the memory location directly given, and from that location when data is there, that data is moved to R2. Loading some data from the memory location to the register R2. For example, this is 1000, for example, 1000. This is the memory, and in this location some data, maybe 1, 2, it is available. Now after execution of this, what is the contents of R2? It goes to 1000 location, and what is the data it is it finds, and then that data 12 is moved to R2. That means loading the data from memory to R2. Here the address of the data is directly given in the instruction. That's why it is called direct addressing mode. Suppose instead of giving directly, you put this 1000 into R1 and put a brackets here. Then instead of giving direct address, this 1000 you put into R1 indirectly. Now R1 consists of 1000. 1000 consists of this 12 and this 12 is moved to R2. Both are same instruction, but this address is directly given, it is indirectly given in the instruction. That's why it is called indirect addressing mode. Now observe here, there is a 2000 here plus this indirect address that will be added. Let us say R2 consists of 1000, 1000 plus 2000, this is 3000 location, and some data, maybe 22 data is there. So it will calculate the effective address 2000 plus 1000 which is available in R2. So effective address is 3000. This 22 is now moved to R2. So that's why it is called, some index is added here, that's why index addressing mode. And observe this instruction, this is R1 plus R3, that means some base register and index register both will be added. The final, suppose R1 consists of 2000, R3 consists of 1000. So what is the effective address? 2000 plus 1000, that is 3000, and directly it goes to this location and bring this data. That's why it is called base with index addressing mode. Now in the same way, it will calculate the effective address here from this, some 2000 plus here maybe 1000 plus 1000, total 4000 location. That is actual effective address where the data is stored. From that location the data is moved to R2. Here how effective address is calculated? X plus this register address and this register address. So that's why it is called base with index and offset. 3 addresses it is adding, right? So these are the basic addressing modes. The way in which the data is specified in the instruction is called data addressing mode. Sometimes using stack memory, the push and pop instructions, right? So auto increment RI plus, how the effective address is calculated? Move R1 comma SP plus. SP consists of some address. From that address location in the stack memory, data is there, that data is moved to R1, and then after moving the data, SP is incremented, that is auto increment. Now auto decrement means first it is decrements, then do the operation. Before the operation, SP is decremented, and then whatever the R1 is moved to the stack memory, which is pointed by stack pointer. So now what is the conclusion here? Auto increment and auto decrement. So it will do the operation first, then increment SP. First it decrements SP and then do the move operation. So these are the auto increment and auto decrement addressing modes. So these are all machine instructions and addressing modes. Finally, the last concept we'll see, and then in the next video lecture we're going to solve the previous 10 years to 15 years problems on this machine instructions and addressing mode. Let us see the last concept, memory locations and addresses. Okay, what is the purpose of this memory? To store the instructions and as well as data. The CPU first fetch the instruction which are stored in the memory, then it executes, and it also takes the data available to do the operation, okay, which is required by the given instructions, right? Anyway, so to read the instruction, some address is required. See, this first location, first word is stored, second location, second word is stored, like that. Ith location, ith word is stored, and last location, the last word. This word may be 8 bits, it may be byte. The word may be 16 bits, 32 bit, or 64 bits sometimes. Okay. Anyway, see this. Suppose these addresses are 2 bits for a CPU, like A0 and A1. How many memory locations are possible? 0 0 first location, 0 1 second location, 1 0 third location, 1 1 fourth location. That means how many locations? If 2 bits are there, how many locations are possible? 2 power n. 2 power 2, how much? If 2 address bits, 2 4 address locations are possible, 2 power n. In the same way, some more address if you increase, this is 2 for example, How many locations are possible? 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, and 1, 1, 1. So total 8 locations are possible. So 3 bits means, okay, 2 power 3, that is 8 location. Like that, everything for every bit doubles. Memory locations doubles. 4 bits, 16 locations. Address lines are 5 bits, then 32 locations are possible. Like that, 10 address lines 1K. Like that, 16 it is 64K, and 20 address lines 1 mega, 24 address lines 16 mega, and 30 address lines 1 giga, and 32 it is a 4 giga. Lastly 40, okay, 40 address lines the CPU it can able to access 1 terabytes of memory locations. 2 power n, that's enough, right? So the capacity of the memory depends upon the address lines for a particular CPU. These are all the concept about machine instructions and addressing modes. Okay. In the next video lecture, okay, we are going to solve the previous gate problems for as a practice. Okay. This time is the expected question. So let us see the next video for the previous gate problems and practice on this concept, machine instructions and addressing modes. Thank you, friends. Bye.